Hey cats, it's Ed Boston Bud here. I've got a midterm update for you on the Adidas Boston 10. Am I any the wiser about this shoe after about 50 miles? Has it changed my opinion on it? Let's get to it. Hey cats, thanks for tuning in, always appreciated. If you are enjoying the content here on the channel, do hit that subscribe button and click the bell below for notifications when I roll out the new videos for you. Also give us a thumbs up, it does wonders for the channel in terms of that YouTube algorithm. Don't forget, mega fans can also now become a channel member by hitting that join button below. There's also a link in the description if you fancy giving it a gander. 3 tiers to pick from with various different member perks, so you can further interact with myself and the running shoe community here on the channel. You know it makes sense. The Boston 10 was one of those shoes that I picked up last year and I just couldn't make sense of it. It was nothing like the Boston 9 that I really enjoyed from the previous year. An odd mishmash of a shoe with quite a tight fitting upper, a massive foam and these strange bendy rods. You know, bendy rods are no use to anyone, are they? It left me scratching my head and looking a bit bemused. Too heavy to be a Boston shoe, surely. This was about 345 grams in my UK size 11.5, so it's a good 70 or so grams heavier than the previous version. Just felt a bit firm and rigid for me for any pace work. What's it for? Have I figured it out yet? I've got to admit, at 50 miles I'm liking the shoe a hell of a lot more than after my initial review, but I do believe it's got quite a narrow use case in my rotation. As usual with my reviews, we'll start with the upper first. I have to say, in the winter conditions I'm quite enjoying the extra materials here in the upper on the Boston 10. It's certainly more form-fitting, I guess in a strange way, close to the Alpha Fly. If you've tried that shoe on, you'll know what I mean. It's got that quite present tongue which is quite lavishly padded on top of the foot. I do feel that the Boston 10 is a tad wider than its predecessor in that midfoot area, but I think there's little else that you can use to compare this shoe against 2020's model. In the winter weather, I've actually quite enjoyed this upper as a comfy, cushy blanket around the foot, and the lace tension's really easy to estimate, so you get a really good lockdown over the top of the foot. So I think probably one of the better parts of the shoe really in my further testing. Midsole now. Midsole wise, I've got to be honest, I'm still a little perplexed here. The sheer weight and mass in my size of the shoe at least makes it a bit of a slower slogger. A slightly firmer light strike in the heel section of the shoe won't be for everybody. It has started to soften up though. What I find is that you need to tenderize the midsole a little bit with some sort of implement. I guess you could use a meat tenderizer or some sort of bottle, but after a few hits it starts to soften up. Then you need to put it on a very slow heat and leave it for a few hours. Of course I am joking, don't do that with your shoes because you'll ruin them. Like I say though, it is beginning to free up a bit and it's becoming a little bit more forgiving underfoot. Yes, if you do spend time aiming in the mid to forefoot section of the shoe, you're going to hit that Light Strike Pro. It's a little bit more responsive, yes, but in that case, what's the point of having all of this back here? If you're going to be just midfoot to forefoot striking, you're not really going to worry about the heel all that much. You're going to be running that fast in the shoe. Why have all the foam back there? I think they could have removed that plate that's in the heel section of the shoe quite easily and it wouldn't really have affected the stability of the shoe. Light Strike's quite a stable sort of foam. I think that the structure of the midsole overall is stable enough without that plate there. I noticed some viewers have even removed that plate from the shoe. They've cut through that top section of fabric to reveal the plate and then just use a screwdriver to sort of ease it out. In fact, I'm going to give this a go as well. It's not a shoe that I'm too worried about messing up. When I got a bit of time, I'm going to get out the instruments and see what happens. I think the shoe for me is ideal at easy pace, somewhere between about 8 minutes 15 seconds per mile through to about 7:45 per mile. So that equates to about 5 minutes 8 seconds per kilometre through to about 4 minutes 50 per kilometre. I think certainly it's now smooth enough in the transition from heel to toe, perhaps due to that mellowing of the midsole material over time, but I'm not sure it's something I'd want to utilise for any sort of speed session. Anything where I've got to turn up the pace. I don't think you can get away from the fact that at 350 grams it's certainly one of the heavier shoes or heavier modern day running shoes that you can pick up right now. I think when you've got the slightly bulkier, slightly heavier but more forgiving Adistar recently released, again it makes me wonder, what is this shoe for? That one comes in at a cheaper price as well. For me really, for those easier recovery runs or a long run, I'd probably opt for that. It just feels a lot more forgiving and cushioned underfoot than this one. And that's out the box as well. I haven't had to do anything to that shoe. It just feels great from the off. If you're prepared to put some more miles into this one, then it could work, I suppose, for that purpose. I think when it comes to the midsole, I certainly prefer the Adi Star over the Boston 10, even after this amount of miles. Now, a number of people have commented about Light Strike recently, how the Adidas need to move away from it. Seems like there's a lot of heat on Adidas right now. They got some great shoes. I've really enjoyed some of those over the last couple of years. Adios 4, Boston 9, the Takumi Sen 6 and 7. I mean, I like the Takumi Sen 8. It's just a bit overpriced. Adios Pro, Adios Pro 2, and of course the Adios 6. So I think, you know, we can let them off for occasionally getting it wrong, right? That side, people might love this shoe. And if you do and it works for you, that's good enough for me. Outsole wise, as per the upper, is good news. Positive news here. That slat-like patio pattern grip here in the bottom of the Boston 10 really does do the trick. It reminds me a little bit of Western Supermare Pier, but it provides excellent traction and is durable to boot. Zero wear to speak of so far, and I found that the Boston 10 works on pretty much every surface that most runners gravitate to, even some half decent traction on some softer turf and mud. That is of course kryptonite to most running shoes. Outsoles cower whenever they see sort of soft grass, but the Boston 10 really does buck the trend. Although that's a rare scenario, I can't see anyone really going out of their way to utilize it on that type of surface. Rare scenario, so I've kind of let the shoe off a little bit. Though the traction fins here continue to eat up grit like some sort of hoover. Very similar in fact to the cheaper and more versatile Adios 6 outsole. So a reasonable daily showing so far for the Boston 10. Just feel it's hamstrung a little bit by that extra weight and odd use of those nylon rods, which I feel just could have been removed. And also that pointless plate underneath the heel. I will be removing that and I'll do a video on it and show you what I did. We'll see if it makes any real positive difference to the ride of the shoe. Stay tuned for that very soon. What do you make of the Boston 10, guys? Have you found a place for it in your rotation so far? Or are you as perplexed by this heavyweight, very strangely designed beast as I am? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. A musical interlude for you. Now, this one I've included because there's very few times I listen to a new band and it kind of has a effect on me where I'm kind of slightly disturbed by the sounds in a way that's quite intriguing. But yeah, be careful with this one. Go and check out new band Wet Leg. Their track Chaise Lounge starts off with some very simple bass lines, simple drum patterns, quite repetitive lyrics. There's just something a bit unnerving about all of it. It then starts to unravel and breaks into these really nice chugging guitar riffs that sort of intertwine together. A little bit like something out of Television or something. Maybe The Strokes. I think it's the dry delivery of the lyrics, perhaps very tongue-in-cheek lyrics, that really does it for me. Quite exciting sound, but yeah, still I'm a little bit perplexed by it. It's a bit like the Boston 10, I suppose. There's something there, but I'm not quite sure what it is. I think they've got an album coming out at some point. I think it comes out in April sometime. It's on the Domino Recordings label. The intriguing sounds of Wet Leg. So in fact, my drummer, Alan Flint, the mystery man, told me to go and check these out. And yeah, he always has some good suggestions. Thanks for sticking with me to the end of today's video, guys. It is always appreciated. If you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button and click the bell below for notifications so you're notified. It helps the channel out a huge amount if you give this video a thumbs up like, and you can also join us with the new membership scheme. Hit the join button. It is very simple. My name's EDDBUD, and I'll be seeing you